Hey, this is Josh. It's March 4th, 2018. This is the fifth of my Shelfie series of bookshelf hits here in Wonders. So I'm going to yank some stuff off of this shelf and see what we have. Children's classic, The Clumsy Cowboy. Wonderful. Young for Beginners. One of those cartoon intro books before the Dummies series in the 90s, and pretty good. Terrorists, What Terrorists Want. Teaching an essay right now in the Atlantic about what ISIS really wants. Pretty interesting stuff. Probably a 35-cent book, The Crybaby Calf. Not to be confused with a Johnny Depp movie of similar name. Trivia. And The Critical Experience, another lit critical book. Kind of interesting if you're into literary books about literature that are about the world of literature. This is the Literary Detective Agency, playing off of a Hamlet with its title, but has characters from among the books running around between books. Should have been made into a movie probably by now, but great concept. Chuck Klosterman, Eating the Dinosaur. Intricate, involuted essays about music. The highlight of this one for me is the Nirvana, the article about how they made their second album bad on purpose, sort of. But you'd have to read it. Interesting. Aldo Leopold, St. County Almanac, one of the classics of the environmental movement. Michael Ondaatje, English Patient. Far Better Than the Movie. Edmund Wilson, A Prelude. Edmund Wilson has some North Country connections up near Plattsburgh, so that's interesting stuff. Yeah, well, these are very short introductions in Oxford series, and I got a bunch of them here and there. Foucault, Relativity, Literary Theory. That was the first one I got. That was the best one, I thought. Barth, Cosmology, Archaeology, Science Fiction, American Political History, and Postmodernism, and Classics. So kind of a ton of those. And then The Bridge to Terabithia. I read that one time when I was subbing. Read it in a day. They didn't give us much to do back then. So I teach that with Children's Lit quite a bit. All right. A couple more standouts. The Butt Files, Beavis and Butthead. Literary canon stuff. Christopher Hitchens, The Quotable Hitchens. See that on a lot of people's shelves. My anthology for science fiction when I teach sci-fi. Stephen R. Donaldson, probably the most lugubrious, despairing writer you'll ever read, science fiction-wise. You know, he's the Sarah McLachlan of science fiction. Great stuff, but also sort of a downer, hard to slog through. Thomas Covenant series is the one he's known for. Wiener Dog Art, Far Side. This is a kind of a cool book, the 48 Laws of Power. There's also a book that Robert Greene did on war, and the typeface you can kind of see it's sort of a self-help but also strategy. Uses a lot of examples and then anecdotes, quotes in the red. Kind of a neat piece of publishing. And also, if you were at the store for this one, this is a 60s book, Remember, Be Here Now. Was it the Ram Dass book? All kinds of cool printing. Dude was tripped out on acid for pretty much the interim of this, but the idea, going through your Hindu phase or your Buddhist phase, both. Cookbook for a Sacred Life. Not at all pretentious, just a little bit, but had a copy of this, lost a copy, found another copy, so there it is. just a couple more and we'll end out. You get all these creative writing how-to books, which is sort of, the Stephen King or the Margaret Atwood. This one is by the University of Vermont, I believe, the Fine Arts MFA program. Neat little chapters, ideas. If you get a chance, this is a great literary, this is his literary venture, but John Berger did a trilogy here. But he's more known for the Ways of Seeing book, which is an art book, talking about the commodification of art and why it's sold and bought by people who have little interest in it or ability to sort of appreciate it. But this is a neat set in Europe, sort of mountainside stuff. Also a nice trade paperback. I'd seen this a lot. Fan of Rumi, so I bought The Way of the Sufi. It's also on Project Gutenberg, pretty much. So kind of better to read it in electronic form, probably. Somebody who actually wrote about semiotics, who's understandable, Robert Scholes, sort of bucking the trend of, writing about things in a way that makes sense. Usually it's not the case. So this is just a basic book on texts and textuality. And the last in this hodgepodge kind of is Harry Potter. Kind of get that far enough away there. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, the sort of the script for this play version, and it's got kind of a 3D cover. You can kind of see as I play that off there. But yeah, well worth reading if you're a Harry Potter fan. So anyway, that's that shelf, probably the 5th of 40, who knows, but hope you enjoyed that.